Hello, I hope you are fine and studying well. Today we will have a look at database connectivity with Visual Basic.NET. We know that it is easy to create programs in Microsoft Visual Basic.NET. I will show that database connectivity with VB.NET is even easier. Let's start with a simple project. File, new project, Windows Forms application, DB view. We will just try to get some data from the database and view it. The project is being created, so this is my empty window. I can just run it. So now I want to connect some database and get the content from that database. So first I need to have a database. If I don't have a database, I can create a database inside the Visual Basic.NET environment itself. So for that we need to have Database Explorer. I have it here, but if you don't have, if it is not visible, just go to Window, Reset Layout, or you can go to View, Other Windows, and Database Explorer. So here we have Database Explorer. Here you can right click on Data Connections, then click on Add Connection. Here if you have a database ready, you can directly provide the link, you can browse it and connect. If you have many database management systems in your computer, you can choose one. For now we will create a new database. Create where you want it to store. We'll just browse it. Documents, Visual Studio 2010, projects, and inside that I have a folder called DB. I want to store my database here. So click OK. Select the folder and click OK. So there you can store. And if you want to change the name of the database, you can just change the name here. I want to create a database called TestDB1. So this is as you can see here, SQL Server compact database file. I want to have password and username. If you want to have a password, you can give it here, or you can choose platform default. Your Windows credentials can be used. I will say unencrypted. OK. Yes. Now you click this button, test connection, whether the VB environment can connect with the database or not. You can test it. You should get this message, test connection succeeded. By chance if you make a mistake here, I will change the path, Visual Studio. Now if you give test connection, file cannot be found. Or another common mistake that we might make is password. I will just type something in the password. If you give test connection, password is not matching. These are the two common failure cases. Now I will give test connection again, test connection succeeded. OK. So the connection, we have created a database, TestDB1. I want to create table inside that. So for that you can just expand it right here, tables, right click on the tables, there you get create a table, and then you can specify the columns, table name and columns. I will give the name sample, column name, this is the first column. I will give register number. I will choose data type int, and then another column. Oh, okay. I will choose register number as primary key. Primary key yes, unique yes, and do not allow null. And then name varchar 100, let it be. So this is a simple table. The name of the table is sample, and it has two columns, register number and name. Let us create this table. Just need to click OK. So the table, here we have the table. Now let's put some data into that table. Where is that? You can just show table data. Here I can enter some data. 1 Mercury, 2 Venus, 3 Earth, 4 Moon. So this is my data. So here I can, so this is my table sample, and there are two columns. I have entered some data. Now let us try to connect to this database using our Visual Basic.NET application. I will just close that table view. Now I want to customize my application. If I want to add a control, so if you want to add a control, you can just go to toolbox. If it is not visible, just go to view or window, reset window. Here I need data grid view. Where is it? Data grid view. I'll just drag and drop it. You can just resize it to fit to your window, your required dimension. Now you can see a small arrow mark, a black arrow mark right here in the top right corner. Just click it. Then there are some options like whether the modifications are allowed, can we reorder columns, some options. And then the most important one is data source. Our database is our data source, or inside the database there is a table, there are tables, so which we want as our data source, that we should choose here. So for that I will just click here, data source none. Now I don't have a data source yet in my project. Data sources are visible here, there are none. So I can add one data source, add project data source. I will try to add a database now. We have already created our database, we just need to connect it. Data set, we want to use data set. Which database we want to connect? There are databases. Which are databases are created in our Visual Basic IDE? They are available here. I want to connect with TestDB1. TestDB1 connection string. If I want to customize, I can customize here. No, there are none. Next. The data file is not in the current project directory, but I don't want to copy. So would you like to copy the file to your project and modify the connection? No. Save the connection as, this is my connection string name. Next. From where I want to get the data? From the table sample. Finish. Now the data set, a new connection, a data source is created, and that data source is connected to this data grid view. If the connection is successful, you will get some sample column description right here in your application. Now I just need to run it. If everything is well, we will get a list of data items in my data table sample. It is running. Yeah, here we have. So everything inside the database and the sample table, it is visible here. Now what we can do, we have enabled column reordering. We can just change the order of column, it is possible, and you can resize the height of row, it is possible. We have enabled editing, modifications are allowed, hence I can modify Mercury 1 instead of moon. I will delete this moon. To delete, I will just select this row and press delete. Okay, I need to select entire row, delete. Okay, and I will close. There is a interesting property you might expect now. So I have made some modification. I will close. Now let's recap what we have done. We have created a database, we have created our project, and our project is connected to the database using data source, and we have created data grid view. There we have displayed data from our table. So it was very simple to do that. We have not written even a single line of code. That is why this is very easy. Now whether we have also allowed some modification, whether the changes are persistent, that means whether that changes are made in the database also. We will check it by running this application one more time. Now if you could see, I had deleted moon, but it is still there. Mercury made set into Mercury 1, but that change is lost. Why that change is lost? We are not saving the modification from this data grid view to our database. If you remember, this is a data set. We have connected the data source to our data set. This is the data set, but the data set is storing the data, whatever data values are there in the memory. Data set values are preserved in the main memory RAM, and when you terminate your program, all those values are lost. This data set is not directly connected to the database. Data values are retrieved from the database, but this is not in connection, not a live connection with the database. That is why these data sets are known as disconnected data sets. Data set is not maintaining a persistent connection. So if you want to save the modifications, you need to specify it in a line of code. Just add one line of code, your changes will be persistent. For that, I will just go to the code view. So here we have a line of code. This is automatically generated by VBIDE. I need to handle an event when I want to save the changes, when I terminate my application. If that is the use case, we just need to go to events. You can just right click here, or you can go to here, events. We have something for load. Just search for form closing. Here we have form closing. For that, we will just add one event for form closing. Before closing the form, we want to save the changes in the data set. For that, there are some automatically created control. I will use sample table adapter. Table adapter is created to fetch or store the data from the database. So this database, this adapter is acting as an intermediary between our data set and the actual database. Sample data adapter, we want to update sample data adapter dot update sample is this name is given because our database table name was sample, hence the automatically created name is indicating sample. Otherwise, what is important is the adapter, table adapter. Table adapter dot update. We want to update our data set. Where is that data set? Me dot sample me dot data grid view 1 we have the data set here, test db1. We have created the data set in this name, test db1 dot data. So I will just choose this name, me dot test db1 data set. So finally we have this one liner, me dot me present form, sample table adapter dot update. This is the method we want. Table adapter dot update what? Data set, test db1 data set. It is the name given to our data set here. So if you add this one line, what happens? We will just run our project and see what happens. I will delete this moon once again. I will select, delete, and then instead of earth, I will say earth and moon. Okay, I will just terminate my project. So I had made some change and terminated my application. Now whatever changes are stored in my memory, it is lost. If the change is there in my database, that should be reflected when I run this project once again. I have run my project once again, and my changes are visible now. Okay, this is about how we create a simple database connectivity with our VB.NET projects. We can customize. Here we have just retrieved all the data and displayed. You can customize it. Customizing is also very easy, but if you want to do some custom filtering for individual data, I just don't want to display register number 2. If the register number is 2, I don't want to display the name. If you want to do such kind of customization, you can you can implement this in the way of coding. You can write code for everything. So that we will see in the next video. Thank you.